What is up, YouTube? This is EvanMagician34, and today we are going to learn a little bit more about how to play Pokemon. We're going to learn about what you can do and what you should do during your turn. Alright, and the cool thing about buying theme decks is you get these playmats, and while paper playmats aren't necessarily the best playmats for the long run, they do give you these cool parts of a turn reminder, which are pretty nice, but we're going to walk through them anyway. First thing that happens during your turn is you draw a card, and that's just one card right off the top of your deck. And like all the cards in your hand, you're going to keep it to yourself. It's a secret from your opponent, and you just add it to your hand. Now, next up is kind of a main phase of sorts, and you get lots of options. Now, these things you don't have to do, but you can. And the first thing is it says you can put a basic Pokemon card or cards from your hand onto the bench as many times as you want. Well, that's pretty cool. Well, you always have to have at least one Pokemon in order to still be playing the game. So if this guy is gone and there are absolutely no Pokemon out here, you lose. But we start with one Pokemon here. And then you can have up to 5 Pokemon on the bench. Now in this situation we've already got started here. We have one Pokemon on our bench, Quilladin. And as we can see, he evolved in a previous turn from Chespin. So we have 4, even though he's evolved and there are 2 Pokemon cards here, he only counts as one Pokemon still. So we can have up to 4 Pokemon on our bench. So, can I bench this new basic Pokemon Trico? Absolutely. You can add basic Pokemon to the bench, not evolutions. Evolutions can't be placed here on the bench. So, like this extra Quilladin I have, I can't just play it straight onto the bench. It would have to evolve onto something. So I can't play him. Can I bench this Trevenant EX? Yes, he's still a basic Pokemon. He's an EX, but he's still basic. So yes, I can. Can I bench my Volbeat? Yes, I still have room. Can I bench my Illumise? Or Illumise, or whatever you call it? Absolutely. I've got 5 Pokemon on my bench and 1 active. I still have another basic Pokemon on my hand, my Tangela, but I can't bench it. I've got 1 active Pokemon and 5 benched Pokemon, so I don't have any more room on my bench. Now, if my active Pokemon, or any of my Pokemon, were to faint, then my bench would end up having 4 Pokemon on it again, and then I'd be able to bench this guy if I wanted to. But right now, I can't. Now, speaking of this Quilladin in my hand, I can play him. This Chespin was on the field during a previous turn. I did not play him this turn. We started the turn with him in play. And since we started with him in play, we know he's been out for at least 1 turn, so we can evolve him. And so, we can do one of the second things we have an option to do here, which is evolve my Pokemon. So I can evolve this Chespin into Quilladin by just playing the Quilladin right on top of him. Now, it says I can evolve Pokemon as many times as I want. Well, obviously I can only play evolutions from my hand. Now, I also have this Chestnut in my hand. Now, I'd like to evolve him onto my Quilladin here, for sake of argument, but I can't. Because this card, this Quilladin, did not start the turn in play. He hasn't been out for a full turn yet, so I can't evolve him into Chestnut right now. So I gotta hold on to Chestnut here. But I do have a Quilladin on my bench that started the turn in play. He's been in play. So if I want, I can evolve this Quilladin on my bench into Chestnut. I don't have to, but I can. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. And I play him just by straight up putting him right down on top of the Quilladin. Now remembering what evolves into what is pretty easy because your evolutions tell you up here in the corner what they evolve from. So okay, let's see, we've done all that so far. What else are we going to do? It says I can attach an energy from my hand to one of my Pokemon, but only once per turn. Alright, well I have 1 energy, but I didn't play it this turn, so that doesn't count. Let's see, I've got some energy in my hand here, and I can attach one to one of my Pokemon if I want. I can attach it to my active Quilladin, I can attach it to Chestnut, I can attach it to any of these Pokemon I choose. Now, for sake of argument, we're just going to attach it right here to our Quilladin. And while you don't have to fan out the Pokemon you've evolved from, that's kind of implicit, what you do need to do is fan out any Pokemon tools that are attached to your Pokemon and any energies. That way your opponent can easily see how much is on them. If all these cards are stacked up in a pile, my opponent doesn't really have a very clear idea of how many energies are attached to Quilladin. And they'll have to keep asking to see it and keep asking to see it, which is disruptive to the game, and it's annoying. And it is also considered to be public knowledge and part of good gameplay to show these cards. So please, as a favor from a player who's played for a while, and as a favor to yourself, don't just pile everything into one quick stack where we can't see everything underneath. fan these cards out a little bit, and that way we know what's going on quickly and easily, and so do you. Now, we do have this extra energy, but we've already played one this turn, so this energy is going to have to wait. Unless I have some attack or special ability that lets me play it, this card's stuck in my hand. I can't normally play this second energy, so we're just going to have to hang on to it for now. Now, let's see what other options we've got. And by the way, you don't have to do these in order. You can do these any way you want. I can attach my energy before I evolve. I can do this next thing, play trainer cards, before I do any of that. I can do these things in any order I want, and sometimes that'll be very advantageous for us. Let's see, it says I can play as many trainer cards as I want, but only one supporter and one stadium per turn. So let's see, can I play this Hypnotoxic Laser item? Yes, I can. It's a trainer, and it's an item, not a supporter, so I can play as many of them as I want. So I can play my Hypnotoxic Laser, I can follow the instructions on the card like you would with an item, and we'll talk about this card and what it can do a little bit later when we talk about items more specifically. And once I'm done with it, it'll go over in my discard pile. Now, I've got another card. It's a trainer. I can play this too. I can play Pokemon Catcher, follow its instructions, and when I'm done with it, I can discard it and put it in my discard pile. I've got another Pokemon Catcher. If I want to, I can activate it as well and follow its instructions. And as far as activating goes, that's easy. All I do is put it down, show it to my opponent, tell them I'm activating it, make any decisions for the card if I have to say pick a Pokemon, and then follow the instructions. And when they're completely done, I just put this over here in my discard pile with all the other cards that are there. But I also have some supporters. I've got one called Sharon, and I've got one called Bianca, and I can tell they're supporters because they say supporter up here. And in case you forget about how many supporters you can play per turn, there is some text down here on the bottom that reminds you. So, a lot of cards have reminder text. In fact, even this Pokemon Catcher has reminder text about it down there on the bottom. So I have to make a choice here. I can play either Sharon or Bianca, but because they're supporters, I can't play both. So I need to think about which one's going to be better for me right now. Sharon just draws me 3 cards, but Bianca draws cards into my hand until I have a total of 6. So depending on how many cards are in my hand, Sharon might draw me more, or Bianca might. So I need to make my decision accordingly. And, just like any other card that I would play, as far as trainers go, I play it down, follow the instructions on the card, and then when it's done, I send it over here to my discard pile. Now, since I've chosen to play Sharon, this Bianca, just like with an energy where I only get 1 per turn, I can't play this card as well. I have to wait. Unless some special ability says otherwise, I can only play that 1 card, and since I've already played Sharon, this card's stuck in my hand until next turn. Now, I don't have to play either one. If I want, I can save both these cards in my hand instead of playing Sharon or Bianca, and I can just hang on to them. I don't have to play them. Same goes for energy, and evolution, and putting down basic Pokemon. Alright, well let's see here, what have we got? Oh, I can choose to retreat my active Pokemon once per turn. Now, retreating is something we'll talk about in another video, but briefly I can pay his retreat cost, which in this case is 3, to send him back to my bench. Now, in this case, Quilladin can't pay his retreat cost, but if I hadn't evolved him and had chosen to keep him as a chestpin instead of choosing to evolve him, I could have discarded these 2 energies from him to retreat him for one of my bench Pokemon. However, we chose to evolve him and we can't take that back. So we can't retreat Quilladin right now. But it's important to note that even if I could retreat him, once he retreats, just like energies and just like supporters, I can't retreat more than once per turn. It's a once per turn thing. And part of that is because if you had 2 Pokemon with a retreat cost of 0, you could just retreat them endlessly forever. And that could lead to some unpleasant situations that we don't really want to deal with. So, last but not least, you can also use abilities, as many as you want. Now, as far as our Pokemon go in this situation, we don't have a lot of them with abilities. And abilities are pretty much all case sensitive. Read the instructions on the ability and it tells you what it does. Usually they'll tell you if it's once per turn, or as often per turn as you like, or in the case of cards like Chestnut, his ability Spiky Shield isn't something we even activate. It just occurs automatically by itself when your opponent does something to him. His ability just says that if this Pokemon is your active Pokemon and is damaged by an opponent's attack, even if he's knocked out, he puts 3 damage counters on the attacking Pokemon. So what that means is, you don't even have to worry about activating his ability unless he is, as it says, your active Pokemon and gets damaged by an opponent's attack. Since your opponent's not attacking right now and he's not active and he's not being damaged, You really don't have to worry about it. His ability just kind of autopilots itself in a way. It's what in other games you'd probably call a static ability. So that's about all for us. Now we do have one last thing we can do in our turn here, this last part, and this always comes last. Once you do it, your turn is over, and that is attack. Attacking is the very last thing you do. So we can choose to attack here. Now we can't pay for his second attack, we don't have enough energy, but we can choose to use his first attack, and usually attacking is a good idea. You always have to read each situation separately, but usually attacking is the way to go. So, attacking is a lot like playing a trainer card. You announce what you're going to do. So in this case I would announce I'm going to use my scrunch attack. And then I would follow the instructions for the attack accordingly. And if it dealt damage, I'd deal the damage as well. So, once that happens, and all the effects of the attack are done, dealing damage and any secondary effects that are printed on the card, my turn is over. And then my opponent will get his turn and do the same thing, and so on and so forth. So, I know this is kind of a lengthy one, but it basically covered your entire turn, so there's a lot of content there. But until next time, like, comment, subscribe, and you can check out my channel for more Pokemon content and more videos on how to play Pokemon.